Welcome to Overview of Common Linux Shell Commands. After watching this video, you will be able to define what a shell is, list shell command applications, and recall common shell commands. A shell is a powerful user interface for Unix-like operating systems. It can interpret commands and run other programs. A shell, which enables access to files, utilities, and applications, is also an interactive language. A shell is also a scripting language, and it can be used to automate tasks. The default shell on Linux systems is usually Bash. Other shells include the Bourne shell, SH, the Korn shell, KSH, TC shell, Z shell, and Fish. For this course, we will only use the Bash shell, which stands for Born Again shell. To find out what the default is, enter printenv shell on the command line. This returns the path to the default shell program, which in this case is Bash. If your default shell is not Bash, you can always switch to it simply by entering Bash on the command line. We will use the $sign to represent the command prompt throughout this course. Outside of this course, you may encounter the greater than symbol being used for the same purpose. Applications of shell commands include getting information, navigating and working with files and directories, printing file and string contents, file compression and archiving, performing network operations, monitoring performance and status of the system, its components and applications, and running batch jobs such as ETL operations. Some common shell commands for getting information include whoami, which returns the user's username, ID, which returns the current user and group IDs, uname returns the operating system name, PS displays running processes and their IDs, top displays running processes and resource usage including memory, CPU, and I/O. DF shows information about mounted file systems. Man fetches the reference manual for any shell command. And date prints today's date. Some common shell commands for working with files include CP, copy file, MV, change file name or path, RM, remove file, touch, create empty file, update file timestamp, change mod, change or modify file permissions, WC, get count of lines, words, characters in file, and grep, return lines in file matching pattern. Very common shell commands for navigating and working with directories include ls, lists the files and directories in the current directory, find, used to find files matching a pattern in the current directory tree, pwd, prints the current or present working directory, makedir, makes a new directory, cd, changes the current directory to another directory, and rmdir, removes an entire directory. For printing file contents or strings, common commands include cat, which prints the entire contents of a file, more, used to print file contents one page at a time, head, for printing just the first n lines of a file, tail, for printing the last n lines of a file, and the very common echo command, which echoes an in-print string by printing it. It can also echo the value of a variable. Shell commands related to file compression and archiving applications include tar, which is used to archive a set of files, zip, which compresses a set of files, and unzip, which extracts files from a compressed or zipped archive. Networking applications include the following: hostname prints the host name, ping sends packets to a URL and prints the response, ifconfig displays or configures network interfaces on the system, curl displays the contents of a file located at a URL, and the wget command can be used to download a file from a URL. We should mention that if you happen to be running a Windows machine and you want to run Linux on it, you can do so in various ways. Linux can be installed on a separate drive partition, Switching between the two operating systems requires a reboot. Alternatively, you can install Linux on a virtual machine, or you can install a Linux emulator such as Cygwin, or use the Windows subsystem for Linux, a compatibility layer for running Linux binary executables natively on Windows. In this video, you learned that a shell is an interactive user interface for running commands, a scripting language, and an interactive language. Shell commands are used for navigating and working with files and directories. Shell commands can be used for file compression. The curl and wget commands, respectively, can be used to display and download files from URLs. The echo command prints string or variable values. And the cat and tail commands are used to display file contents.